and let us all do we can to build a better future. Ladies and gentlemen, we have had a lot of clips from Fox News where we see progressives like Dr. Cornel West, Jimmy Dore, Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, and so many others who have been on Fox News. And, let's face it, very rarely do we see progressives with a voice on the other establishment media.
NBC, CNN specifically.
Yeah. Well, here we have a video of we have 3 video clips of none other.
I would argue to say the trend continues.
Yeah, true. But here on CBS, Briahna Joy Gray, who is also the host of the Bad Face podcast, is there spitting fire and truths about progressive issues and progressive policies on CBS. So let's play this first video. Again, this is from her Twitter page, so be sure to follow her and check out her podcast as well.
And so, Briahna, from the progressives' point of view, would you agree? How has President Biden performed vis-a-vis your expectations? Has his first 100 days been what you expected? Are you pleased, disappointed?
It's important not just to measure Joe Biden's performance against our individual subjective expectations, but by what the political moment and the economic moment requires of him. He came into office at a period, obviously, where COVID was causing crisis across the board. 15 million Americans lost their insurance last year because we have an employer-based healthcare system that connects your ability to get treated for ailments to your ability to maintain a job. We live in a crisis where the unemployment rates are still incredibly high, particularly among historically disenfranchised groups. And of course, a lot of people at the bottom tier of our society who have been locked out of the so-called American dream we're really, really looking forward to campaign promises like getting a $2,000 check, not this abbreviated check that ultimately went to even fewer people than the Trump check. So we have to keep in mind that while for some Americans, the outlook is good, for millions of Americans who suffered worse in the context of this crisis, Joe Biden still needs to be pushed to do a lot more.
Okay, so again, how often do we see that on MSNBC? Do we see that on CBS?
Well, we don't see it on NBC. We still don't see it on CNN. But everyone's third favorite television station that sometimes people watch when CNN or NBC aren't doing something.
Yeah. I mean, to all those people who are saying, well, why do progressives only show up on Fox News? I mean, well, okay, CBS, glad we're seeing you putting in more progressives on there. But again, did everyone notice what Briahna Joy Gray was saying? Very few people got the same stimulus check. We were promised $2,000. It was reduced now to $1,400. And again, a lot of campaign promises that the progressives ran on during the 2020 presidential election cycle, they haven't followed through on. And that's why we're being so critical towards them, because at the end of the day, Daniel didn't make that promise that, oh, hey, everyone's going to get $15 minimum wage, Green New Deal, Medicare for all. I never made that promise. These politicians that were running for office that were trying to get our support made these promises. And look, we've reached out to them, especially during the 2020 election cycle, to be on our show. And a few of them, we did get some candidates on our show. But these progressives, did they show up on independent media? No, they didn't. And then they keep on flip-flopping and not following through. It's about time people hear that the promises are not being kept. Let's play the second video.
Well, just to that point, when we're talking about bringing the Bernie coalition in and other progressives in, the number one concession that Bernie Sanders asked of Joe Biden when he dropped out of the race was to secure a $15 minimum wage. And when we're talking about the things that the country can get behind, a polarized nation can get behind, what they're actually very unified around is these kind of quote unquote progressive policies like Medicare for all, which 70% of Americans support. It's nearly 50% of Republican support, and a minimum wage, which overwhelming majorities of American support, in which Floridians who voted for Donald Trump in this past election actually passed with 60% of Floridians voting for a $15 minimum wage. And so that's a really significant issue area that Joe Biden has failed on, leaning on the parliamentarian as an excuse for why it wasn't a part of the must-pass COVID bill, when in fact the parliamentarian can be fired or overruled, as Bush II was able to do for his tax cuts.
Again, do you see that on CBS? Do you ever see that on CNN? Do you ever see it on MSNBC? The answer is no, you don't. How refreshing is it to hear that different perspective than on just on Fox News?
I love this quote from Independent Left News.
All right.
Where he laid the smackdown on their candy asses in NPR speak, which I think is very underrated. It's like it's going into their place of business in their language, chewing them out in a way that they can't be contentious about.
Oh, well, here's the thing too. Like driving to the studio, occasionally I do turn on and listen to NPR, and there are days where I just have to say, I scream at the radio and be like, "Oh, you're being so smug. You're not even talking about it. You're not even talking about how the fact that we're still stuck in Afghanistan. We're still stuck in all these regime change wars. And I don't want to hear anything about like until we see our forces leave. I'm not believing it because I was listening to a segment about how, oh wait, there's still plenty of private contractors there, and then and it's just like
they're staying. I think.
Yeah, they're staying. So technically, we're not leaving, folks. We're not leaving.
We're just hiring someone else to keep the seat warm.
Yeah, again, and also Paul Whetstone, Bree slamming those mothers, and again, it's like madness. It's like, again, shout out to Briahna Joy Gray, who's doing such a fantastic job. But we got one more video clip to play, and again, she's speaking truth to fire. And look how scared they look. They're just like, what is she doing? What is she doing? We don't know. Let's play it.
With Republicans, as you know, they are largely trying to painting President Biden as a progressive, from Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, all the way down to Susan Collins, to moderates like Senator Susan Collins. Do you think that the president should just lean into that portrayal as a political strategy?
I think what we've learned is that no matter what a Democrat does, they are going to be called a socialist. What they shouldn't allow is to allow themselves to be chased away from policies that are, again, overwhelmingly popular because they fall for Republican scare tactics. Most Republicans want Joe Biden, want the marijuana to be decriminalized. It was one of Joe Biden's campaign promises. And yet, just in the past month or so, Kamala Harris, when asked about it, said it just wasn't a priority of the campaign. And Joe Biden has recently, Jen Psaki has affirmed that even if Chuck Schumer goes ahead and Congress attempts to pass marijuana decriminalization without Joe Biden, that there's no guarantee that he would sign it. So again, why is it that on all of these overwhelmingly popular issues, Republicans apparently have figured out that they can scare Joe Biden away from doing the thing that the majority of Americans want? And I think that's why we see his approval numbers at this 100-day point significantly lower than Barack Obama's and even George W. Bush's.
Yeah.
Again,
it's an amazing thing where they're like, oh, we got to focus on bipartisanship to accomplish, well, definitely not things the American people want. That would be a mistake. We got to only focus on things that special interests want. And people wonder why, there's no confidence in the Democratic Party. It's like they control everything. But, Joe Manchin, parliamentarian, can't get anything done no matter how popular it is. Oh, we don't want to push anyone to do anything. Oh, that's really, really difficult. What do we do? We're just leaders of the most, powerful nation the world has ever seen. What could we possibly do with our lives? Meanwhile, the European Union's becoming more independent, doing their thing. And by the way, the European Union, well, not as much now that the UK's gone. UK is sort of like the New York of everything, and Germany is obviously the California. But I don't know, I guess France, whatever. The point is that they have about as many citizens, if you add in UK, and about the same GDP as the US does. And that's not thought about a whole lot. That's a pretty big implication on, oh, wow, they're doing all this stuff that's good for workers in the EU, letting people have time off. You have healthcare taken care of. They're still producing as much. You have China, who is doing their own path in this. They're going to pass our country very soon in GDP. Yet America's like, don't change anything. Keep things going the way it is. We're definitely going to fail, but few people make a lot of money.
So I want to acknowledge a couple people in the live stream chat. Sterling W says their rating, being CNN, must be doing so bad that they actually have to put real independence on. And then also E. Heller says, Bree is the media Jedi. And I couldn't agree more. It's just the reason, again, just showing those clips, it's just, I'm glad that's not on Fox News because, I mean, again, day in, day out, it's Fox News. But
It's such a crazy thing that if
Yeah.
she did go on Fox News, she's making a very good set of points. And what a huge amount of people that are on the quote unquote left, I don't think they're left. I think that they're just like the Democrats that are really Republicans. These are people that say they're progressive, but they're really conservative in their own way of not wanting anyone to talk about things that they don't like because they're snowflakes. They would just go, "Oh, she was on Fox News. All the words that she said don't matter because
She's on Fox News."
She didn't yell at Tucker Carlson in his face. So everything she said is irrelevant. I don't want anything built. I just want to destroy." What a sad way of living.
But here's the thing too. I don't mind seeing progressives on Fox News. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
okay,
like it.
great. You're reaching out to the audience. I think the reason why we want to talk about this is because you don't see people, especially like Briahna Joy Gray, talking about progressive issues and the real issues with the Biden administration and the current Democrats on CNN, on CBS, on MSNBC, and it's refreshing to see. And I hope that maybe that wakes people up out of their bubble, because here's a sad fact. Everyone's at brunch. All those protests that was done between 2016 to 2020 about, stopping Trump and stopping fascism and all this other crap. You know what it shows me right now, seeing how nothing has fundamentally changed, is that no one really gave a damn during those protests. No one really gave a damn about the issues because it was all about defeating the orange man. Well, guess what? Trump's not in office anymore, folks. But the problems that gave Trump the power that he had during those 4 years, they're still here. And one of the main architects to that neoliberal economic system that we are currently living in right now that helped give rise to Trump, Joe Biden, is in office right now. He's the architect to this system that we're living in. And just because he's not doing any kind of mean tweets doesn't mean that we could return back to normal, that we all can enjoy our lives. Trump has indicated he might run again in 2024. And all this stuff that we've accomplished, or in theory that we've accomplished, will fizzle away because, again, we're not seeing anything get done or accomplished. And we have to call out the Democrats for the hypocrites that they are. We already know who the GOP is. And at least Briahna Joy Gray is being consistent. She's not screaming or yelling. She's not calling people stupid. But hey, at the end of the day, just like how we say Jimmy Dore was right, Briahna Joy Gray has also been right about all the issues. And whether you like her or not, if she's speaking truth to power, you got to maybe open your ears and listen to what she's saying.